Hello everyone, welcome to my vlog. So today is my first video, which basically is going to be one of the first of the series what I'm going to be doing about retouching my images. And today's vlog I would like to dedicate it about a very important topic, and I'm going to be actually talking about how I organize and choosing my images for editing. Like I never seen any videos or any information about this topic, and I deeply believe this is very crucial and very important part of editing process. And then it seems like there's a lot of things which goes into it, which I would like to share it with you. And then some of those photographers sometimes have own system, and actually they work certain ways, but I deeply believe this is one of the things which we have to get very good habits, because if we're not gonna have that, we're gonna ended up with mess, and we're gonna end up with a lot of those things which might put us into trouble. So the first thing what I would like to chat about it is, whenever I come back from my photo shoot and I downloaded all my images, the first step is I'm backing up all my work. I've been into a situation where I downloaded images, and for whatever reason the hard drives broke, and I didn't have this back it up, and that put me in the very difficult situation. So the first step what I do as soon as I get home from the shoot, I downloaded those images, and they basically go to 3 different hard drives, which basically keep me safe from losing any of those images, so I know if anything happens I'm covered. And especially with the work I do, sometimes clients come back, I don't know, 2-3 years after the shoot, and they ask, okay, would you mind and then send me those images, or I would like to actually get another images edited, whatever reason, but I keep my work back it up since I started my digital photography. And so the next step, and it's another really I have to say important part of this entire process, is basically I go through all those images. And I'm not sure if some of those photographers, in most of you guys probably they do, probably some of them they don't, but this is something what I do. Basically I assessed every image. Sometimes from the shoot we're getting, I don't know, 500,000 images, and I go from through each of them. It's a time consuming. Now this process actually goes a little bit faster, and I found that I can do this much quicker, but I assessed all my images before I even get to the point that I'm starting picking up my images for the client or for editing. And I know that I had a bad habit back in the days when I started photography. What I used to do, I downloaded those images and I tried to pick those images which I like, and then when I go for those images all over again, I found something else. So it's important that you first of all go for all those images, delete all the bad ones, and you picking your images just from the best of the best, so you have clear view of what you got, what your images look like, and which ones are the best. So this is something I believe extremely important, that you don't get into some kind of situation that you pick some images and then you've noticed that from all those images you found something else which looks better. So you have to go from each, you have to go for each image step by step. So you basically delete the bad ones, you have the good ones, and that also keeps your your work clean, so you don't have you're not ended up with like having your hard drive just filled up with tons of images which you don't really need. So make sure that basically you just keep the best stuff from your work, and everything which you don't really need, like images which, let's say, the client have eyes closed, or they out of focus, or I don't know, there's tons of stuff which might basically disqualify the image from using it. Another thing, what I do, and I don't know if you guys have that habit, if I have an image which basically I see that, you know, it's kind of, well, good, but it's not really good, and then, you know, there's something we could do about it, but I'm not sure, I delete those stuff. I don't really hesitate to click this button and get rid of these images, because we never go back to those images. I found from my experience, I never go like try to fix something. So that's something which I would highly recommend it. So another thing what I would like to actually talk about is that we have to actually have those habits put in our workflow. I think, and it took me years to figure that out, but having everything organized, it's one of those things which we have to have as a photographers, because well, you know, when the years kind of goes by and our career progress, and we do more shoots, and we have more clients, having everything organized is one of those things which we have to have certain, I have to say, well, way of doing things to make sure that, you know, at some point we're not going to be like, wow, losing our hair, where are those images, and, you know, what's going on with all my work, because that's something which is extremely important in our field, and we want to make sure that everything is clean and organized, and we have easy access, and we know exactly where things are, because that's gonna make us more efficient, and we're gonna basically do better work, and we can do much more volume of work, which basically allows us to get better at what we do. So another thing what I would like to actually mention here is, and we're going to be talking about this in details, but it seems like a lot of my viewers is asking about those final images. So let's say I pick those shots, let's say from the shoot I have 600 images, and I narrow them down to about 100 images. So what is the process next? And then I'm going to be talking about like two separate things. One's going to be when I choose images for my editing, which means that I'm going to pick those shots and I'm going to edit and I'm going to put on my website. And also it's different story when it comes to the clients, because the way I work, I allow my clients to pick those final images for retouching, and that's something completely different, and it's kind of different approach, because most of the time the images which I like, my clients, let's say, sometimes it happens that they like them as well, but sometimes, and then that's, I would say, more often what happens, clients pick completely different images. So that's part of, well, that's part of my actually gig, and part of, you know, the process when I deal with my clients. So when I actually well, narrow them down to, let's say, 100 images. So each image actually has watermark put on the image, and then on the top of that I lower the resolution, so I don't send you know, high resolution files to my clients. Basically they're getting low resolution files with my logo on it, and I'll show you some of those samples. And then basically they can go through all those images and then pick those ones which they like the most, and then they send me the numbers or whatever, the way we communicate, and then I actually work on those images to get them ready, and then I actually edit them and then send them to my client. As far the images which I edit for my website, or, you know, my promo stuff, basically I narrow them down to, let's say, 2 images or 1 image, whatever, and then I basically edit them and then put on my social media and my website. So that's the kind of process what I do. And actually there is some post today on the Facebook that the client basically took those unedited images and posted, and then the photographer was very frustrated. As I said, I've been there, I've done this. We have to, from one hand, be very protective of our work, and we want to make sure that whatever goes out there has that certain quality, and then we have to protect ourselves. The best way is, well, there's two things. First of all is the watermark, and the second thing is basically educating the client, because that's the way they have to be aware. Some of them, they're gonna say, well, I didn't hear about it, but so that's why we put watermark on it, and then you basically just put the way also, so it doesn't really affect the face, but the watermark is very visible, and that's also kind of red light for the client to not post them on social media. So let's right now jump into the software I use for basically organizing and then narrowing those images down, and basically let's talk about how I do it.
Okay, so right now I'm going to be showing you how I actually choose my images for the client and for my editing. So as you see right now, this is the just straight download from my camera. There's a bunch of different images, you know, some of them they're good, some of them they're bad. Whenever I was trying to, you know, get my clients to do different things, I snap some images. So you see there's a variety of different shots. So basically, as I mentioned before, I'm gonna be actually go through each image and assess the image individually. Back in the days, that took me a little bit of time. These days, this entire process goes much quicker and smoother. That comes from basically from the experience and going through thousands of images weekly, which basically helps me to develop that eye, which well speed up the process. So whenever, as I said before, I see image, for example, like this, which is basically unusable, or something like this basically gets automatically deleted, and then I actually go step by step. So whenever I see image which you know, like maybe try to find something here which is a little bit of I don't know, out of focus or something like that, there's a little bit of tool here which allows us to assess the image. So we see right now that this image is completely out of focus, and there's not much what we can do with that image. Is basically garbage, and that image is gonna go straight to as I said, trash. And there is, yep, there I don't have to go back to that, and I don't have to also keep that on my hard drive. So let's say, for example, image like this, and then, you know, it seems everything is fine. I can basically also just double check and make sure that this image is usable. As you see, everything is perfectly sharp. Usually I'm checking for the eyes, because that's what is the most important. If, let's say, tip of the nose or, you know, back on the hair is off, like out of focus, then I don't have to worry about it. But if, let's say, eyes are out of focus, then it's basically well, this image is unusable. You can also do some stuff in Photoshop by sharpening images, but honestly I don't really have time to playing with the images which I think they you know, they're not good enough. So basically I delete them. So that's the kind of the first step. I go through all of them and basically delete all the crap ones, and then just keep those ones which I really like. So I'm gonna go back to my another folder where I have all those images already selected. Where is this stuff here? And I'm gonna go to fashion. That's where I'm having those, and it's under Ania. And as you see here, I have all those images already selected, and all the bad ones are simply deleted, and I have all the images which I really like. So basically this is another, actually, well, this is the first step which makes my images organized, and then kind of get ready for the final selection for my editing. So what is the next step? The next step, I'm gonna go for each image, and if something catch my eyes or some image which I really like, I'm basically gonna mark this image with those little stars and make sure well, in this case right now the images are sorted by rating, so we have to go here and then select it to sort by file names. So you see there's some images which I already selected, so I actually work on that client. Well, this is actually from my workshop, so it's not even a client, she was part of the workshop. So I already picked those images which I really like, and then I'll show you how I actually do that. So basically you have to, over here, you have to sort by file name, so you have all the files, and I'm gonna kind of go step by step, and if I'll see an image which I really like in this case, basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put 5 stars. And I'll tell you how I narrow those down, because that's extremely, I would say, important. I know everyone has own system in place, but the way I do it, I go through all those images, and then actually the ones which I really like, I pick. Well, I just simply, what I do, I just put 5 stars in it. So let's do in this case, there's something kind of doesn't want to work. Okay, so I selected this one. Let's say I'm keep going for those images, and let's say there's another image which, let's say, I really like. So this is, let's say, this one, and I select all of those. And I think the best way to do that is basically just go one by one, and if something, as I said, catch your eye, or some image which is, well, it looks kind of cool and you really like it, you basically mark it, and then you know this is something which you really like. And I don't, as I said before, I don't do 2 stars or 4 stars. I do all of them 5, and then what I do, actually go here and I go to sort by rating, and all those images, basically they're gonna end it up on the bottom, as you can see here. And then is the next step. So basically I go through them again, through all those ones which I already selected, and then again I'm started narrowing them down. So let's say there's very similar images like this, which I selected, and let's say I like this one a little bit better, so I unselected this one, and this basically it's gone. So we have only those good ones. And again, let's say those 2 ones, I like this one a little bit better than this one, and I actually just unselect those stars, and we have those best ones. And I actually go through this entire thing till I get the ones which I really like. So that's my process of selecting those images. In this case, I would, let's say, pick 40 images, whatever, for the client, including those ones, and I would just well, put some watermark on it, lower the resolution, and send JPEGs to my client. So in this particular series, I'm going to be working on 2 different sets of images. We're going to work through, well, we're going to be editing one file with the girl and one file with the guy, and then I'll show you, well, basically you will see the final images with the guy as well. And then we'll pick one images from basically my selection, and we're gonna edit it, this entire image. So that would be, I would say, everything as far choosing the image for the editing. That's my process. That's how I actually do it. If you guys have any other suggestions, or you guys do this different way, please feel free to let me know. I'll be more than happy to well, basically hear your tips and your advice. The system I've created over the last, well, few years since I started shooting headshot photography, and that's the way actually I do it. So the next step, we're gonna actually take this raw file into well, to the Photoshop, and we're gonna start editing, but that's gonna be another tutorial. So yeah, feel free to shoot me an email if you have questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll chat with you guys in a couple days. And then actually we right now gonna go straight to the editing process, and I'm gonna be sharing with you all the information how I edit those images. So thank you, and talk to you guys very soon.